for me, style is a way of like creating an identity. When I walk in something and I feel it, you know, it becomes an extension of my body.
Style is more than just the clothes you wear. It's the essence of who you are, and it's in everything you do. Discover it here and unleash your style beyond what you wear. Hey everyone, today we have a truly exceptional guest, and I'm beyond excited to introduce Brendan Fernandes. Not only is he an internationally recognized artist, but he is a creative force who's making waves at his own intersection of dance, visual arts, and social activism. His work is powerful and thought-provoking, and he's someone who challenges norms, and he uses his art to inspire change, to create collaborations, and what I like most of all, he tries to bring people together. In a world that often pushes us to fit into a single box, Brendan reminds us that our identities and our styles are multifaceted, dynamic, and worth celebrating in all their complexity. Trust me, you don't want to miss what he has to say. His journey, his insights, and his vision are not just inspiring, they're essential for anyone trying to understand the deeper layers of style and what it means to truly be authentic. And he's a wonderful friend and person who happens to be a legit influencer who gets hookups from places like Tiffany's and Tom Brown. So, without further ado, let's dive into an incredible conversation with the one and only Brendan Fernandes. Hey, Brendan's here today, and really excited. He's become a good friend over the last couple of years, and I'm so excited to have him on. He's a creative genius, and welcome to the podcast.
Well, thanks. That's very, very, very kind. I'm super excited to be here with you and to get into it, I guess.
So I heard some very exciting news that you recently got tenure.
I recently got tenure.
Tell me more.
About the process?
Yeah, the process. I know it's great. I mean, it's such an accomplishment. So tell me about it, what it was like and what it was like finding out.
Okay, so I'm a professor at Northwestern University in the Department of Art Theory and Practice, and was going out for the process of tenure, which was one of the most grueling, craziest applications package I've ever made in my life.
Why?
Because basically everything I've ever done in my artistic practice, whether it's someone's writing a review, any exhibition I've done, I had to like prove it and like make this like package. Then I also had to write these essays about, you know, why am I a good teacher? What kind of support do I provide to the university? What is my community service to the university? So just like these like kind of long, kind of like arduous essays just to tell them like, take me on it. But it's funny. So I submitted in September. It took a whole year. So apparently after that, then they sent it out to a number of different other departments in the universities across the country. And then those people like kind of ranked me with from this package.
How'd you do in the rankings?
I got it. Yeah. So I got this letter from the dean's office that said, I am now indefinitely hired by Northwestern University.
That's pretty cool.
It's kind of crazy.
I grew up in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, and Northwestern was always like the school for all the smarty pants. And, you know, it's really neat that to see someone that I know be a professor there forever and ever.
Yeah. And I love it. You know, obviously like, I'm so indebted to the school, my department, and I love teaching. But just knowing that I have this now, like this kind of position, it's sort of kind of a little bit medieval in a certain way. Like, is it kind of like this letter comes and it says like you're indefinitely hired. So there's that kind of like the tradition of American universities and this idea of being bestowed this title.
Yeah, that's awesome. So so this is all about style that goes way beyond clothes, and you're also an incredibly stylish person, and we'll get into that too. But I kind of want to know, how do you define your style in art and in the visual arts, and how that's impacted your journey, you know, from when you started to tenure?
Well, you know, I grew up in Nairobi, Kenya. My family, emigrated to Canada when I was 9. But I think like, you know, this idea of like having had the ability to live in different places, having the ability to experience different cultures, you know, is something that kind of has built like kind of like the foundations for my art practice. And then as an artist, I trained as a dancer as well when I moved to Canada. So my work is sort of kind of hybrid, intersectional. It kind of doesn't, it's never really defined, which is also how I like to describe myself.
Sure.
I'm not one thing, I'm many things. And yeah, so I think just the kind of foundation of having many types of experiences, and then this idea of like kind of placing my work in between spaces. It's not dance, it is dance. It's visual arts, but it's not visual arts. So kind of playing with that kind of hybridity in my work.
Is that how you stand out as an artist?
I hope so. I think there's something unique to the way that I create. Also, as a maker, I'm always trying to always sort of like think about the next way of thinking about something. So like even within my work, like, a lot of it is sculptural, performance based, live dance, but I'm making like work right now with like architects, intersections between my work and collaborations with architecture and the body. I'm also making work that is, I'm playing a lot with light, like light and sound. And so I'm kind of just trying to always sort of like think of other ways of making and experimenting.
Experimentation for me has always been a big thing, and I am a super perfectionist. When I'm designing a suit, the amount of time I spend on what color the thread should be, even if it's just a shade different, or which buttons I should be using, it's but for me, it was always that experimentation is what led to better and better results.
Absolutely. And I think, even like just when we've worked together, like you'll say like, hey, I have this idea. And I'm like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. And then I'm like, oh, actually, that's really cool. Like, do you remember the white tuxedo
Yeah.
pants? And I was like, I can't wear these. This is too much. And I love those pants now.
I'm getting funkier and funkier with some of my designs, but it's still within kind of my style of design with its
Absolutely.
kind of timeless, but I'm definitely trying some funky things. And that's how you end up. I think so many people are willing to try more than they're doing. What I hear from clients is that they just don't know how to do it all and like how to put something together. And so when you say, no, this is just going to work, I don't know, just because I'm a stylist, they listen. So it kind of works.
Well, you're the authority, right? So
Right.
that's the thing. I listen to you. I was thinking too about, even the way that, like even the insides of, the jacket that, you made
Yeah.
for me. You were like, what about this print? And I was like, let's just go with a straight black. And you're like, no, let's think about it. And then now, like, it's my little like opening moment. I'm like, hey, look what's inside here.
best.
It's the best.
And when you have a monogram that's fun on the inside, you can read something.
Yeah.
That's why I stopped putting my name on the inside of my jackets, and I just have funny sayings or
Yeah.
quotes now. It's way more fun.
Do you remember what we put in my jacket?
No, what did we put?
It's a quote from Jenny Holzer. It says, protect me from what I want.
Oh, I do remember that. That was a good one.
Because that sentiment always kind of like rings with me. And I was like thinking of getting it as a tattoo. And I'm still, and it's funny because a friend of mine wrote me a couple weeks ago. She's like, when are you going to get that tattoo? You've been asking for it for like 10 years.
Do you have other tattoos?
I have one.
What is it of?
Oh boy. Wow. Okay.
I like this story.
No, it's nothing that interesting, but it's a schooner. So like a ship
Yeah.
on the back of the shoulder. So when I was in grad school, friends of mine, we were like doing grad school, our MFAs in this town outside of Toronto. And we were trying to figure out how to get out of this town because we just didn't. It was just like kind of like we were just kind of sucked. It basically just sucked. And but we were finishing our schooling, and there's a schooner which was like a historic schooner. It's actually on the dime coin in Canada. It's and it was docked in this town or outside of this town, and it was just like kind of sinking. And so we were like, when we get out, let's get the schooner to remind us to like never be complacent, to always have like to continue our journey and not just sort of be this like sinking ship.
I love that.
So
is the one on your back kind of sinking, or is it fully?
no,
upright?
it's fully it's in motion, or it's static because it's a tattoo on my back. But I remember my friends.
If you go like this, or when you're dancing, it's moving.
It's moving. Yeah, exactly. A little shaky. But I was gonna get it on my arm. Grateful I didn't. But the tattoo artist was like, "Your arms are too small. I can't fit it on your arm." So we put it on the back.
That's
shoulder.
a good call. I'm sure it looks great there. I, for the longest time, have wanted sleeves. I love tattoos. I think they're beautiful. I just know as soon as I get one, I'm gonna full body sleeves, and I don't know that I'm really
ready to commit to that?
I think it's a commitment. I have a couple of friends who are like are super addicted to it, and my goal is now to just get them all to get tattoos of my work on their bodies, so that there's some kind of
That's
like
not egotistical at all.
no
I
no
love it.
ownership, all of those sort of things,
I love that. That's, I mean, for me,
or just my signature.
well, that's a good one too. That's really egotistical, and I
That's really-
love that. There's some guys that put their signature as their monogram on the shirt, and I think it's the douchiest thing ever. I don't even like when clients ask me to put initials on the cuff of their shirt. There's a nice
That's
way
an
to do
old school
things.
thing, though, right?
I think it's like an American banker thing to do.
Because
It's like a show off.
It's like
I
that
think
Brooks Brother thing, kind
Yeah.
of, like that.
if you're gonna put a monogram on a shirt, there's an elegant way to do it. You kind of put it right there, and then it looks really nice. And people are like, "Oh, you got something on your shirt," and you're like, "Yeah, it's my monogram," but it's not shoving it in their face.
Yeah,
That was kind of always one of my big early on style things that I learned in fashion, because I didn't originally start in fashion. I was a consultant, a communication and change management consulting. And so when companies did things that affected their employees, we went in and spun it and made it sound great. But I loved clothing, I loved dressing up. And eventually I moved in across the hall from a clothing designer, and that led me to where I am now. But early on, those little details of the monograms and where people put what tattoos and everything like that, I thought it was beautiful, and like part of it's what I wanted my style to be. Even though I still have no tattoos, I'm working on it.
are you gonna get one?
I'm considering it. I think what I will actually do is, there are temporary ones I've heard of.
You can also get those like kind of like stocking sleeves that you can kind of test them out. It's just like it's like a shirt, like a
I don't know how I feel
like
about
like
that.
Spanx with like tattoos on them.
I think I'd probably look pretty good in Spanx.
Stop it.
But yeah, so tattoos will get one eventually. I think temporary is the thing to go. The other problem, they take so long. If you're going to get a sleeve, you have to do it in processes. I think what I would want is them to put me under and just do
Just
them
do it all.
I don't know that they'll do that.
I don't think they'll do that, but I think you can pay.
They do that. Okay, they do that. That's fantastic.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because the recovery is intense.
What if they just keep you asleep through the recovery too?
Hey, I'm sure there's an island somewhere where you can get this done, and they'll feed you and take care of you and everything like that.
That sounds awesome. Something new to consider.
Hey, I'll come with you then.
Maybe once
What
this
if you-
podcast takes off, somebody's just gonna be like, "Hey, I'll do this for you." Might do it.
Yeah.
It's a great way of thinking about it. Okay, so let's get a little bit more back to style. How did you're a bunch of minorities. So you're a queer person of color, you're from Kenya, you're Canadian American, you got a lot going on. How did that impact your style, and how did that affect your development, from everything early on to, becoming where you are now in your career?
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, 'cause, like I think style for me has always been a big part of just my upbringing. My grandmother was a seamstress, and she, we came from like modest like upbringings, and she always said though, you need to dress, in a way that gives you like character and like almost like create like a personality with your style. And so I think like if you meet my sisters or like my mother, like everyone is just like we like to dress up.
I would love to meet your mom. I feel like she'd be
she's-
absolutely fabulous.
She's fabulous. My friends all like know of her because I talk about her all the time. She's hilarious. She loves basketball. So she will just talk to me and about basketball, and I will look at her and I'm like, and I'm like, Mom, and she's like, so now I actually want to record her, and then she'll notice I'm recording. She's like, stop it, what are you doing? But she knows everything. She like loves basketball.
That's awesome.
Like she's a 78-year-old like Kenyan Indian lady who loves basketball, but that's because she wanted to impress my nephew, but now she's really gotten into it.
That's fun.
Yeah,
That's cute.
But my grandmother taught us how to dress. She made all of our clothes, and in Kenya, like there was a lot of tailoring, and you could kind of get that stuff done. So when we traveled as a family, we used to all wear like matching Von Trapp suits together, but all in a variations. Like because my two sisters would have matching dresses, but then there'd be like some kind of plaid, like like detail that kind of like was different. So everyone kind of had their own sort of like uniform, but within that uniform, we kind of had our own kind of personal touches.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I think for me, why I was always interested in style and in clothes, our mom, so I have three brothers, I'm number two, and our mom, like we couldn't leave the house if we didn't iron our clothes. And she never said everything's about first impressions, you have to look nice all the time, but we went shopping before school each year. And like similarly, we were from modest means. There are 4 kids, so that and buying clothes for 4 kids.
It's a lot.
I can't. After having 2 kids, I can't imagine how they had 4. It blows my mind every day. But that was always such an important thing to look nice when we went out and to make sure that we were matching.
Absolutely.
Now I break matching rules all the time, but I at least know the rules to break them. But I think that influence and having somebody in the family is really important.
Yeah, and I think that was our grandmother. Like our whole family is very much about that, as I mentioned. But I think also for me, it grew and changed as then I got into the art world or the dance world. I remember like growing up in Toronto when I was dancing and studying art. But I really got into like the punk rock scene in Toronto, and like the
Is
kind
it a big scene in Toronto?
yeah, I would say so. Yeah, and but I remember like like that's when I started to like dye my hair and get piercings, and that was a whole other situation. But it also kind of like allowed me to understand style in a different way, but also again a way of identifying. For me, style is a way of like creating an identity. When I walk in something and I feel it, it becomes an extension of my body. And that's also when I make my dance work. I work with a lot of designers to make costumes for my dancers, but the costumes themselves also become kind of like conceptually a part of it because they affect the way the dancers move. It gives them a sense of authority, and I really kind of think that's really a big part of again another extension of how style manifests itself in my work.
I think really early on, and I probably said this to Naya and team, I think even seeing you like walk you like walk nicer. Like your walk style is nicer than other
Absolutely.
people's.
Like when I'm wearing a skirt, I just feel powerful.
You're flowing.
I'm flowing, yeah, and then it just comes out. It's like there it is.
It's
yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah.
I should really work on my walk style.
I can teach you. We can do that.
That'd
Could be the
be
next thing.
great.
We'll do some walks.
I don't know. So I think guys that can pull off a skirt is amazing. I think a lot of clients will ask me silly things or say they can't wear a hat. I'm like, just put it on and walk out the door and you're wearing a hat. Just smile, even if you don't feel it. I think anyone that it was the same thing before I started painting my nails. That was even a risk for me. I wasn't sure. I loved the idea of it.
Yeah.
I never knew if I could. I just don't know. Yours are fantastic. Did you do them yourself?
No, I get them done because it's a. So I started doing my nails because I should bite my nails.
Me too. Oh, it's the number one reason.
So now this is like, and I for the first time in my life have healthy nails, and now I just kind of like doing my nails. It's like a treat. I go get them done, and it's just part of it. But I think for me, like what you're saying is like wearing a skirt, all of these things like might have had like a little bit of a reservation perhaps, but like within my style, I'm kind of like non-binary. I kind of like wear whatever. Like I'm going to. Like Janet Jackson tonight, and I might wear a full-on dress. I don't know, like I want to be like that tight black dress in Rhythm Nation, But like I just experiment and play, and for me it's fun, Like,
did you ever get pushback when you first started trying? Were you extra self-conscious? Because I know like the first time I wore nail polish, I actually think Mike, the guy behind the camera, I think we did it together, or we were together when I bought the black ones, and it was right after he just had done them. And I remember putting them on and like not hiding them from the world, but I was definitely nervous. So like, do you think when you first started kind of, I don't know, pushing the limits and going more towards that non-binary way of dressing, were you self-conscious about it?
I think so. And also I think I was doing it when I was like, like a younger teenager where I was not fully aware of who I was, you know. Now, you know, my nephew, who's, you know, so dear to me, we were in a train. So when I go home for the holidays to Toronto, we spend a day together. We go into the city and we buy clothes because he's like really into like but he has his own style, and I kind of like, if I buy him something, he's like, I don't want that. So we just go together and he buys whatever he wants. But he was like, do people make fun of you because you paint your nails? And I was like, I'm like, no, I just don't even care about it anymore. It's like, you know, I have like, you know, the one aunt or uncle who'll be like, he's painting his nails. And I'm like, yeah, and I can do whatever I want because I'm a grown up, you know?
Yeah.
So like, that's things I don't think it, but I think it doesn't bother me, but I think it would have bothered me like if I was like a teenager and someone said like, you know, oh, that's what girls do, or you're gay. Something like that would have probably like affected me. But and at this point in my life, I'm just like, nah.
Yeah, I think one thing that, like, one of my goals and things that I would love to leave behind is helping younger people, like, it's like get to the point of wisdom of being in your 30s, 40s, like when you're an
Absolutely.
adult, and getting that early on to know that like all the crap and BS you go through as a teen and go through high school and whatever it is, none of it matters at all, and that the only thing that really does is just being yourself, and it will help you so much more if you can get there quicker. I think that's one of my life goals would be to help young people act like you're 30.
Absolutely.
Sooner.
You know, I think so. And I think I'm thinking that maybe it is changing, and kids like, because I think my niece and my nephew like are open to that. Like they already see it. Like, you know, they experience it. Like, you know, where I think for me, like, you know, growing up like in the suburbs of Toronto in the 90s, like, you know, it was like still like, you know, I didn't know any other open kids.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I bet I can't even imagine like how different it is now since it's actually talked about.
Yeah. And I think for me, like, you know, being in a dance school and dancing, like that was like my safety and my community because I met other people like me in that space. And so I think that was really important for me, was like my dancing life. So
Do you like dance more? Do you like the visual arts? What?
it's just both
All of
together.
it.
Like
all- yeah.
it's just together. Like I love going to the ballet and watching it, but what I do isn't that. You know, I
Yeah.
don't make work on stage. I make kind of weird, non-defined performative gestures. You know, like it could be on the street. It could be like it's never traditional. But I love watching traditional dance. But what I do is just kind of like a mix of those things.
So some of them have been live, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you watch people's faces to see the reactions?
Do I watch people's faces?
Because I feel like there are
Yeah,
the two schools of thought. Like you're watching people's faces to gauge their reactions, or you're watching it to make sure it's perfect.
I am both, I think, because also my work is like durational, and then I'm always like, are people getting bored? Are people getting bored? Like I can like that's the kind of thing. Then I'm also like worried about my dancers. I'm like, are they okay? But you know, I'll sometimes hear people say, because it's like in a museum space, you know, someone walked into a piece and was like, this is stupid, and I was like, I made this, like kind of thing. Like, you know, my sister said to me, because we at an opening, this is at the Whitney Museum of American Art in New York, and people were just like were saying things, and she's like, how do you do this? And I was like, do what? She's like, you're in the space, your work is happening, and people are saying things. And I was like, well, you just have to be tough and just kind of, you know, that's part of the game. You know, the critique, people will always have opinions, but she was like, oh wow, it's really intense. And because people just were like talking, like someone came up to me and said, I like the other artists' work better in the same gallery space as you. Great, thanks.
You're welcome to your opinion.
Yeah.
No, back off.
Exactly.
Don't talk to me
And my
again.
sister was like, back off.
Yeah.
I'm going to come after
Your
you.
family.
Yeah, exactly.
So while we're talking about your work, I actually was like, you know what? I forgot where I was, but I was like, you know what? I should check this out. And I got Brendan's monograph. So
Where'd you get that one? Because that's brand new.
I know.
Wow.
I know. It's February, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my first question is, what's a monograph?
A monograph is like a catalog based on like just one person. So it's like, so a friend of mine makes fun of me. He's like, you have all these books, these monographs, because people write about my work. So there's a collection of essays, but it's all on my work. Yeah.
So I went through, Naya and I went both through it, and I thought it was really interesting reading other people's contributions, because I just naturally would have thought it was everything straight from you. So kind of reading about what other people thought, I thought that was really interesting in itself. And that's kind of what made me think, like, how do you react to people? Do you look for those reactions? Do you just pull the best ones and toss them in a monograph?
Well, so for this book, it's kind of curated in a way that I have to it's responding to a specific film and a specific exhibition. So the monograph was being created and made, and I have the opportunity to invite people to write. So I'm actually asking people who I really, care about to write about my work if they can. But it's really important because it gives me new perspectives. It lets me, the way people think about the work or write about the work, opens up new ways of thinking, allows the practice to grow as well. So for me, it's really important to have this kind of writing. It also creates like a legacy for the work, an archive for the work in a different form. So yeah,
I thought,
I'm gonna drink some of this water from this little,
Oh,
this is
yes.
my little cup.
so I'm big. One of my favorite things in style generally is
Birds.
kind of, well, birds, absolutely. Since moving to the suburbs, I became quite the amateur birder. But I think just juxtaposition and having, I mean, we're in this ridiculous space. To describe this space, it's hard to, but it's, I think, 8,500 square feet. It is some fantastic penthouse, 1500 North Lakeshore Drive in Chicago. It's beautiful. It has this unbelievable terrace that we got to stand on. All the rooms everything about this place is ridiculous. So I thought
Sippy cups.
some bird cups would be pretty fun. But one of the things I thought that was really interesting from reading this was art is subjective and everybody has their own, but I like sometimes to be guided where to think and how to think of things. When I look at some of the work, if I was just looking at the photos, I wouldn't have thought of anything even close to what these people had. And I think reading it helped me understand the work more. It helped me learn more about art, your style, and just possibilities, and kind of thinking through like, oh, I like that idea. How can I use that in clothing, or how can I use that in what I'm doing too? So I love the idea of using it as a way to learn it and just continue to develop it.
And I think that I think that's why also I fit well into like the academy, like the university, because my work is very much about research and process, and when I work with people writing about my work, as I said, it builds up these new ideas and these ways of like thinking or me understanding and giving new perspectives, which I think is so important for an artist to then have material to then kind of like generate the next work, you
Right.
know?
How many? One thing I've always kind of thought of, like, are you like, I'm going to produce this many works this year, or is it just when something comes to you?
Yeah, I think it comes when something comes to me. Like, right now in my career, I'm really fortunate that I get invitations for exhibitions, but I need to like make sure that I schedule them with time in between, because I need that time within my process to then kind of cerebrally think and make. One of the things was like 2019 was this crazy year. I had 7 solo shows, which was really kind of too much. And then 2020 was coming, and I was like, and everyone's like, what are you gonna do next? And I was like, I do not know. I do not know. And then, the pandemic happened, obviously.
Wait,
and it did. Yeah, it was this thing, but it gave me respite. I was like, the world is shut down. So even though I'm in this like really precarious, depressed state of being, it gave me a moment to kind of stop and rethink. And I started making all these like kind of writing about about ideas and things. And then now I'm just kind of being like taking those and actually making them happen.
That's cool.
Yeah.
For me, one of the things that drives me nuts is inaction and coming up with an idea and not seeing it through, not being able to see it through, or just like kind of letting it sit for a while. This whole venture that I'm starting, House of Style, is, to anyone that's heard it, it's wild, it's enormous, it's crazy, and it challenges everything about retail and fashion today. And most people will tell me it's crazy, or do the standard, if it's so great, why hasn't it been done? If it's so easy to do, why hasn't it been done yet? And if you talk about, if you share those things early and you get that feedback, it's really easy to just let something sit. And then I'm excited when I'm thinking about it. I'm coming up with ideas every single minute, but then a lot of them don't come to fruition. And it was probably 2-3 weeks ago. I mean, I've been talking about doing this podcast for a while now. I mean, I've been working on House of Style for a year and just started telling people about it almost a month ago. Like I kept it pretty private because, and like I shared with you earlier, there's a group that I shared it with, knowing that the feedback wouldn't be, why are you doing this? And it would be encouraging. But there are a whole bunch of ideas I haven't gotten to yet. And one of them was the podcast. And Mike texted me a few weeks ago, like, are we doing this yet? And I'm like, you're right, let's actually do it. And so for me, action and being able to do those things, it's so rewarding. That's what leads to success, because I think everybody has ideas.
Absolutely.
And being able to see your ideas through is one of the most important things.
And I think that, that's something that as an artist, like, I get to do, like, make my weird ideas come to be. And I'm at a place again in my career where I'm like, let's do this. And then we do it. And it's just kind of like, okay, yeah. So I kind of love that part that I can now, where before, I like the hustle. Like, I've always been a hustler. And I think that the hustle was like, how do I get to do those? How do I get that opportunity first to make something? But then how do I do it?
Yep.
And now I have, like, I'm in a place where I get invitations and I can do things, but I can also just like kind of come up with something kind of like bizarre and,
All right, so we're gonna do that.
what do you have in that? But on the side,
there's a lot. Here's a little canvas.
Oh boy.
So
Am I supposed to draw you?
So I did hear that that's the trend right now is on TikTok. Apparently, it's to draw each other.
Oh.
But so we can do that, or you can come up with something bizarre right now on the spot, and we're gonna draw that, and whoever wins.
What do you mean? I'm supposed to like draw, like tell you to draw something?
Yeah, you said I can just come up with something bizarre. So the winner gets that.
Oh.
We have 96 crayons.
Oh my God. Okay, hold on.
What are we drawing?
I gotta think about something. It's not that bizarre.
Okay, you can have a minute to think.
Wait, what are your drawing skills? Do you have good drawing skills?
I can't decide if I should tell you.
I know. I need to know the competition. Okay.
I would say we'll go back to I started off in the corporate world and I got into fashion rather than just being in, a creative role right away. So I'll say they're pretty fair.
Okay. We're going to draw a butterfly.
I can do that.
I figured you
Aspen, my older daughter, loves butterflies. Okay. And I've watched Encanto so many times that
oh boy. Okay,
I know what all those mariposas look like.
Oh my God.
Wow. I feel like now there's a lot of pressure to nail this. Aspen's going to really judge this. See, even, this seems, I say there's no such thing as a stupid question. I say this all the time to people because I do believe that you should just ask the questions that you're thinking of.
Are you looking at mine? Is that what you're doing?
No, which side am I supposed to use? I feel like this side for sure. The texture.
Yes,
right?
the texture side.
I just wanted to make sure.
Are we being timed? Like, are we being like, is this like a race?
No, we can take this whole time.
I can go slow then.
I don't even know if I should be doing wide. Oh my goodness. I didn't think this through. There's so much pressure.
Well, I'm almost done. No, okay.
I mean, I have more stuff in the Mary Poppins bag, but it's like I've all of a sudden forgotten how to draw a butterfly.
Because you're nervous.
Which is funny because I don't often get nervous. So I started doing more TV and some segments on the news.
Oh yeah, I've watched you on the news.
Thank you. And it's weird. I thought the first time I was nervous for sure. But since then, I really haven't gotten nervous, and it's more just like a really fun energy. I do feel a little. I see. As soon as I think about my family, my kid, that's when I'm like, okay, there's a little bit more pressure.
When you see your family and kid on TV?
No, like I'm thinking, and
Now.
I know this is so silly, but right now I'm like, when Aspen sees this, or if I give this to her, 'cause
Oh, that's sweet.
it's logical because Nora doesn't know what a butterfly is yet. But if I were to give this to her, there was one time I was drawing something on an etch a sketch, and I thought it was fantastic, and Corey did too, and Aspen looks at it, and I was like, "What do you think of it?" And she just goes, "Not good." Like
They'll tell
gut
you.
punch, right? And we use it as a joke about everything now.
That is hilarious.
But I'm like, she's gonna see this butterfly and think not good, so I'm all
You're
this is my
nervous
butter-
now.
Yeah. Yeah, this is pretty terrible, but it can get better. That's the other thing. I think making mistakes is a fantastic thing. I think failure is taboo, and people don't talk about failure enough. And as soon as I think it becomes a little easier for Aspen and fam to comprehend and understand what failure is and the benefits to it, I want to sit around the table and like, what'd you fail at this week? And like, how'd you get past
how do
that?
you get past it? And I think there's a huge fear of failure right now in this world and these generations of the kids. And now I sound like an old man as I'm coloring. I'm making a butterfly here. But like I think there's this idea that everyone has to succeed. Like I have my students who say to me like, what if I don't get a job in the field that I just, and I'm like, then you figure it out. I'm grateful that I can work in my field, but that just isn't always the case for everybody.
I think part of hustling, like you get this, I think most people that know me know that I'm a hustler. I think part of the hustle mentality is you do whatever you need to do to get to where you want to go.
Absolutely.
And I think like for me, when I think of style, I think about my work style and how I treat people every day. Like that's my style. Like my skills are styling people with clothing, and my skills are designing, and I do a great job of it. But I think it's so much more than that, and it's one of the reasons I wanted to do this and talk with people that it's not about clothes. It's how you talk to people is a style.
Well, I think and everyone's style is different, right? And so when you do this kind of work, it's about a conversation, a dialogue, a collaboration. Like you're collaborating with people because the way someone dresses is so important to understand and to make their personality in a certain kind of way, right?
Absolutely.
Somebody's not going to be comfortable in a skirt, and you probably won't put them in a skirt.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's
Unless I don't like them. I would never do that. How's yours coming along?
I was gonna say, how's yours coming along?
If I had to guess a percentage, I would say I might only be 10% done. How about you?
I would say 35.
Okay, I'm not that far behind. That makes me feel a little bit better.
I just made that up. I'm almost done. No, I'm kidding.
No, we have plenty of time. I always liked coloring. Ooh, ring, ring. I always liked coloring, but I was never great at it. And I never had to do it for work. Everyone thinks like a clothing designer sketches everything out.
You're like, no.
I have clients, or I look at fabric swatches, and then I think about what I want all the details to look like pretty much in my head. I'll put a few buttons on them to see which buttons I want to use.
And then
I enter it into my factory's computer system where I place the order. And that's the extent of my design process. I can see the design in the bigger picture in my head, but that's about it.
someone's really wanting to get a hold of us.
Should we go answer it? It would be great.
She'll pick it up and be like, hello.
No, probably not. That works. I mean, you can
Where's that
answer it.
lady?
So we don't know who lives here, so we don't know
But no, there was that lady that was here.
the residents. We can just go with that.
Yeah, but yeah.
We can just go with that. I think that's totally fine.
But also, like, don't you like only let it ring for like 2 minutes and then it, like five rings?
When will it go to voicemail? Maybe there is no voicemail.
It does. Because I was looking at it and it's an old, like, oh, I don't know the right term. What's so.
It's an old phone.
That you dial.
So
Rotary?
it's a landline rotary phone.
Yes. And they have 3.
They have 3 rotary phones. Next to each other or in different?
Next to each
Wow. So those each have different purposes then.
Yeah.
Wow.
The number of that phone was 69.
Oh. There it goes again.
I don't know. Where's the woman who?
Yeah.
You want to go check?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not like I don't, it sounds nice. You don't get to hear that style of ring anymore, really.
Just find the house manager. It's my answer. Do I say hello? This is the penthouse.
This is the penthouse suite.
I know nothing.
How can I help you?
I cannot offer you anything.
Oh, you're interested in this? Let me tell you about it. How many beds? 6 beds?
6 beds?
6. 8.5 bed? That seems like too many beds. And how do you have a half bed? You don't have a half bed.
Not bad. A big.
I think this is coming together.
Are we gonna do an unveiling?
Oh yeah, obviously.
Duh.
I had this, not this theory or dream that over time I might do enough of these where I can get good at it. Or at least if somebody else, says, let's do a butterfly, I'll just try to copy whatever
Copy what I
like,
did.
What did Brendan do? And I'll just do that. That's pretty much.
Are these
Do you ever?
Do I ever?
I don't want to say, because this is a terrible, terrible term, especially with all the. We'll just skip over what I was going to say, but I didn't want to say the word plagiarism. But do you ever get? It's getting inspired by other people's work and using it in your work.
I think like I'm definitely obviously you have like inspirations, the same way that you might have like fashion inspirations. So I wouldn't say, I would take their work, but I would like kind of be inspired and kind of make it my own in a certain kind of way. Yeah. But there's definitely people that inspire for sure. Like, like your heroes or things like that. Yeah.
Who were some of your?
Who are some of my heroes?
Yeah.
I love David Hammonds, Carol Walker, I think like Carrie James Marshall, like just, a lot of like, and again, their work is so different than mine. If you looked at their work, you wouldn't even, like I just appreciate,
Sure.
Nick Cave. I think that their work is so different, but also there's still similarities in it.
For me,
Mine's getting, I think I need to start stopping because mine's getting kind of crazy.
what's wrong with that? We like crazy.
Okay.
For me, there aren't a ton of brands or designers. I think I'm a little bit different of a stylist and designer than most, like given my journey to this point, because I didn't go to fashion school. I didn't grow up, wearing or knowing anything about designers. And really to this day, I don't do a lot. I mean, I know a lot of the designers and I know a lot of their work, but a lot of them don't give me tons of inspiration. And I find myself overly critical of tons and tons of designers, but the ones I do love, I really love. And
Who do you like?
Tom Ford is so brilliant. I think just the details. Also, numerous times when I've taken Tom Ford jackets of clients to my tailor to get alterations done, every single time it's like, oh, this was the most beautiful thing I've seen. It was such beautiful detail and construction, and like he walks me through all of the details. In he'll show me other jackets and be like, look at this compared to this, and I see it, and it really is stunning the amount of care and attention to detail that goes into Tom Ford pieces. I think one thing I really didn't like back in the day, the skinny lapel thing.
Yeah.
Skinny lapels work on someone like you because you have a really small frame,
Yes.
because it's proportional. Skinny lapels on a big dude looks stupid. And I think most American designers and a lot of what's mass produced today are narrower lapels. And I like Tom Ford, he has big old wide lapels and they look awesome on people. And I just think some of the risks that he's taken.
But even the way he did like women's wear, like his women's wear was like really, when he did like
Yeah.
Gucci, like that was like just, very, for me, I loved it. I like fashion for me, like there was a show in Canada when I was growing up called Fashion Television. And it was just like, Jeannie Becker was the host, and she would just go to different fashion shows like around the world, and then they would tape them, and that's become like one of the one main archive of like seeing like fashion like now. But like that show was like really important to me. Every Saturday afternoon, I'm like, I gotta go home and watch fashion television, and that's like I learned about McQueen, and I learned about Dior, and I learned about like all of the things. That's when I learned about who Isabella Blow was, and all of those kinds of things. And so I think that was another extension of why and how I got into fashion was through that television show.
Yeah. McQueen is also one of my faves. I love Cucinelli, but who can afford Cucinelli? It's absurd. But McQueen, definitely a fave. There are a handful I like. And I think for me, one of the things that I was always cognizant of was I didn't want to be the stylist that just tries to put everybody in the same brand. And, there are a ton of stylists, and to each their own, and it's not a bad idea, but you can get awesome commission if you're taking people to the same couple stores. I know many stylists that do that, and they make a ton of money, and that's how they.
But that's not styling. That's just that's
Right.
another
You're a
form of
salesperson.
capitalism.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's like you're a salesperson, and just independent from the actual store. And to me, like when I see stylists in like just head to toe, like I saw a stylist. I forgot, it might have been Gucci, but there was a stylist in a Gucci jumpsuit, and all the comments in their posts were like, "So stylish, so cool." I'm like, you're wearing a tracksuit. It's like a plain tracksuit. There's nothing stylish about this. You're just wearing a brand.
Exactly.
And like for me, kind of being anti-brand, I think one of the things that defines me is anti-everything that people like. And that's kind of, I'm the person at the restaurant when they're like, do you want to hear what's, our specials, or, these are favorites. I'm like, I don't want to hear your favorites. What's the chef's favorite thing? Like, what is the least ordered thing? Like, what's the best thing on the menu? Not just what's most ordered. And I find that kind of went into my life. And sometimes now I have to be aware, because it can become so strong that I won't just do what's, I don't know, not best, but like I'll be no, I won't do this because other people like it, that it actually hurts me and like what I can do or develop. And I'm not thinking through, especially, some of the House of Style stuff. When I think through those ideas, I have to think of things as a consumer and as the person that's going to be using all these and shopping at this mega center that I'm, going to be creating. And you can't just be anti-you or so stuck in your own style. You have to understand and appreciate other people's style and where they're at as well.
I think so, and I love that you said, like sometimes I think people think style is like a brand, right? That you have to wear like the brand name, but I also think it's about like mixing and matching and putting things together. Like I love to find vintage stuff and throw it together with maybe a Gucci blazer or something like that. But I also think that style is just such an important kind of complex way of like just even understanding, like silhouettes, or understanding like how things will fall or what's good for your body. I don't think most people know how to size their clothing. Like we'll wear things that are way too big or way too small sometimes.
Definitely the biggest problem is wearing too big.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm almost done with a wing. and I'm trying to catch up. So I'm not going to go into more detail. I'm just going to like use
Color.
this one color to fill
It
this.
I'm kind of peeking. It's looking pretty good.
Thanks. You know, like as I'm going, I just realized one of the dots and circles I had was the same color that I'm filling in with. So now I have to come up with a different color.
You could put another color on top and change it. So mix colors.
Oh, I like that. All right.
We're all helping out here.
I need it. One question I love hearing from other people that get it, and I think are open to talking about it. What are some of the things that scared you early on, or still scare you when you're putting something together? Whether it's like putting yourself out there, what scares you?
What scares me? I think what scares me is this idea of like, what do you do next? Like after you do a project and you finish it and you're like, then I got to do the next one. Like it's like kind of the idea of like where to next is a big thing. I think early on, a lot of fear as a young artist was like, like survival. Like how do I get that paycheck so I can like pay my rent in New York, because that's where I was for the last 15 years before I moved to Chicago. And so as a young artist, it's kind of that was like kind of a fear, I think. And it's funny because I was talking to some of my students about it yesterday, and they're like, "Well, what happens after this?" It's like, and I was like, "Well, the thing is, like, we are resilient. Especially being artists and creatives. It's like we have to push what we're doing." And so I think there's something about that where if you just kind of like it sounds kind of cheesy, like when you manifest it, but if you like really have like an end goal and you're making actions to take you somewhere, something will happen.
Absolutely.
You might not know what that action is going to be or what that could be. So I just think like, just putting yourself out there. What we do as creatives is also super vulnerable because it's just like, again, it's in the public, but also there's this thing that, and everyone will have an opinion about it, like that's not good, that's bad, so just kind of taking that and, understanding that that's the process, but, you just keep making those actions to kind of take you to the next phase. I think is really important. So fear for me, I think I don't fear as much. I think I fear more, there's definitely anxieties, but I think there's not a fear anymore. I think the biggest part for me was of this idea of like, how does one cope and survive, specifically then that way of now that, I'm in a certain place, I have, the tenure track job that, guarantees that I will, have a home. And
that is nice.
Yeah. So that's a big part.
That is nice. I need to get tenure.
You need to get tenure.
I don't know what I would profess. Someone did call me, and I should probably trademark this, and now I have to do this right after this episode. Damn it. The professor of style. I was like, that's pretty cool.
That's cool. I like that.
That's pretty cool.
I want to teach a class, and I'm not sure what it is. One of the things at my school, I get to like make a lot of my courses, and I'm trying to find a way of like incorporating fashion into like a fashion course. Like it doesn't have to be like, but I don't want it to be like a histography of like of the fashion world, but I was trying to figure out a creative way. I do teach a class where I get the students to, it's called Print, Performance, and Protest. And we made sweatshirts, which we screen printed with some kind of like words or slogans that they would wear their protest and then walk around the campus and do like a kind of like a, this is our protest that we're wearing on our body.
Did anyone protest the project?
No, because I think they were excited about it. Yeah, but I'm sure there's somebody in the future that's gonna be like, I'm protesting this project.
That would have been my absolute first response.
You're like, I'm not doing it.
For sure. It's like, how can you say no to that? It's like,
it's part of the, yeah. It's part of the action that is allowed in the class. Yeah.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Oh fuck. I can't look yet. All right, I'm catching up. I'll just, we're gonna go with some big designs. Are you happy with yours? Would you make any changes to it?
Yeah, I think I'd always make changes. I can also keep going, but then I'm also like, there's a certain moment you're like, I need to just stop. That's something that's really important for me in my life. Is like, like I do so much, and it's really important to take the stoppage.
When to say no.
When to say no. When to be still. When to kind of be in myself. And I think that's something then perhaps that, not a fear, but something I'm just like more aware of is like I can give myself time now to do things slower and to not do everything. Where I think in the past I was like, I'll do everything because I was in that hustle mode.
Would you still do it the same way if you went back, or would you take more time?
I have no regrets on how it was done. It was definitely an adventure, and I think I just kind of want to kind of just go with it. Yeah.
I don't sleep much. I still work most of the day. I love it. It's absolutely not work to me. And I think that hustling is what allows you those freedoms and to take a step back, but to be in a better position to do so and be comfortable when you're at that point.
Absolutely.
I love hustling. I love
working.
working.
So that's something that I've learned to say to myself is like, I like working. It's something that I do, and that's because that's just kind of like the mentality of like how I was brought up, but also like being a dancer, there's a certain kind of rigor and expression that you have to do, because if you don't, then you don't get it. But so I've lived in that, so I appreciate it. But also I love my work. What I do for a living is really exciting. I remember when I graduated from college, I started working at this at the university. I graduated from in the administration, and I was like, this is the worst ever. And I was like, I will never work this kind of job again. Like I will be like, and I've never done a 9 to 5 like that ever again, because I was like, I can't. That's not for me. Question for you.
Yes.
What's your astrological sign?
Pisces.
What day?
I'm March 20th. So
Okay.
I'm the
On the
last
cusp.
day.
Okay.
Yeah. I am hardcore Pisces. I'm the emotional. I'm the creative. It is very much
Do you
me.
know what I am? Can you
I'm-
guess? Do you know astrological stuff?
I'm not great with all the dates.
I'm
I want to say you're what? You're what?
to a T my star.
Now I feel like there's pressure. I want to say my first thought was like a Libra vibe, but then I was like, no, that's not right. Taurus.
Close. So my moon and my rising are Taurus, but my birth is Capricorn. So I'm all Earth.
Do you ever think about that in your life?
All the time. I ask people that question all the time. Like it's like I'm like even like especially in dating, I'm like, ooh, Gemini, no, run away, no, thank you. Like I have to be like, you seem like a nice human, but you're a Gemini. This is not going to work out.
I love that.
So yeah, no, I definitely think about it. Does it show up in my art practice? No, but like I can get a little witchy woo woo. Like I'm kind of like like thinking about like the manifestations of things, but like I definitely read people through their signs, and I have a friend, and he'll read my cards, and sometimes we'll like write our intentions, and then we like burn them and like blow the ashes off my roof. And
That's cute.
yeah, it's just
That's cute.
it's a little thing. I love my crystals.
I love crystals. So I do believe in crystals. I do believe in the energy and all of that. As much as people talk about manifesting these days, I've always believed in it.
Yeah.
As long as I can remember, I've believed in it. And I do think that it leads to success, or leads to whatever you want it to.
And I think it's also like, it's not just about it's about putting that work out there. But once you put that work out there, you can also like make it happen. Like I mean, that's the action that will help it become, right? So yeah.
Okay.
Reveal.
One last thing.
We're revealing to each other or to the camera? To each other first, then
Camera
the camera.
first or each other first?
You're here for each other.
We are here for each other.
We're here for each other.
Oh wait, that's not what I want to do. All right, good enough. All right.
Ready?
Yes.
You gonna count it?
1, 2, 3.
Oh,
damn. See the detailing in yours.
I love the
is-
flower.
That was my last. The flower was the last second edition, and you can know when I just said, "Oh crap, I messed up." Instead of making the green stem at first, I circled the middle of it.
There's no rules.
There are no rules in art. That's right.
Like I just made a whole bunch of weird eyes all
I
over.
like that.
It was
So I was gonna ask, are those eyes? Are they just random?
I think they're eyes.
I like it. It's pretty solid.
It's for you now. You can have it.
We can have each other's. Wait, sign it.
Oh, the signature.
Oh gosh,
We're allowed. We're allowed to.
Oh man, I'm not great at signing. It's one thing I'm working on.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to like.
I'm gonna make it some sort of a G with a little scribble. That's how most are, right? See, yours looks. See, I'm just going with that.
I love it. That is totally just
beautiful.
a scribble. Mine is
It's-
actually a signature.
I mean, this is a scribble too. Let's be real.
But I can do it again.
I can scribble again too. I think that's one of the unique things about my signature is it's different every time. Pretty sure that has no legal standing.
Love that. Love that.
Okay, we might need to make some room because we have the next thing.
Oh my goodness.
I was thinking about doing it earlier, but then I forgot, and then we got coloring.
Should I put these in here?
Oh, I mean, we can just. Oh, it seems like so much work.
Here, I'll put them in here. Wait, so who gets the cup?
You get the cup, obviously. Yours is way better than mine.
No.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think there's any question about that. So I was thinking, since I've started this amazing and will be the biggest, venture and company sometime in the next 5 to 10 years, and that you just got tenure, and since we're wonderful, we should probably have some champagne to celebrate.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Because I knew that you.
Oh wow! Look at this.
I busted out the crystal too.
I love the crystal. So maybe here, I'm gonna move this though, as these glasses.
Here, I'll take those. Because I figured, the crystal goes perfect with the bird cups too.
I know. This is.
And we were out of normal sized, so we're gonna share with the crew too. But yeah. So I feel.
You bought a Magnum.
I think somebody gave it to us, so I don't know that I.
But it's a Magnum.
It is.
It's a lot.
And if we had plenty of time, I feel like you and I can definitely finish this together.
Oh, absolutely. We need to do one of those long lunches again that we just like sit and chat and eat and drink and all of those things.
After this, these are quite the pours. We don't have enough crystal for, everybody, so you guys get patient up.
Hey, if you have caught me, I'm happy.
There's so much foam, I had no idea how much is in it.
Not much. It's very
No, it's very light.
The good thing is there's more.
Hey, now there is.
Some of that. So, oh gosh, I'm much more of a listener than a toaster. Let's go to everlasting style, success, and friendship.
Amazing. Cheers to that.
Thanks. That was pretty decent.
I love that.
Cheers, guys. I was really, I've been thinking about, when I'm eventually famous, and I don't want to be, I say that, but I don't care about being famous. I think it's something that happens, when you do something successful. And I want to impact the lives of millions of people in a positive way. And I think House of Style is going to do that. So I think naturally fame comes with it. And I'm trying to be on TV to help people. And it's part of it. And I mean, you have way more followers than I do. So you understand that, people know you and, there's something about it. So I say this from I don't care about being famous. It's something that happens. But when that time comes, I feel like that's when you can. I don't remember where I was going, actually. I lost it.
Hey, but I think the fame thing is kind of interesting because, like, being an artist, people know your work. They don't know your face or your body to go with it. So sometimes as artists, we can be like kind of like under the radar.
One of my dreams early on, and this was before House of Style became an idea, was that I was going to be a famous designer that nobody knew. So like after Fashion Week, the show would go, and when the designer walks, there'd just be no one, and it'd just be the music still be going. When I would be walking, that was always going to be my thing. But then someone was like, well, you're going to lose out on a lot of marketing and money opportunity if you just don't do that.
Absolutely.
Like, all right, it is at the end of the day sort of about that. Like I do House of Style because I want to impact millions of lives, but because I think that it will change fashion and retail forever. But I'm also doing it to support my family and to make a ton of money.
Absolutely. And I think that's, even like for me, like art is, and the creative side is like something that I came into, but it's also like my business. You know, like it's my, and I think that's something I need to tell my students as well. It's like that art becomes a business. Like when my dancers come and dance with me, they say we're going to work, because like, you know, we started out as, you know, dance is like recreational, but now it's our profession. You know.
Right. That's an interesting way to think about it, because I think about that way. I think designers, and I think one of the problems with fashion school is there's not enough business that's taught. But I don't really ever think of it from a dancer's perspective.
Dancer's perspective. Or if you think about like dancers too, like when we're professionals, we go straight from like ballet schools or our dance schools into like a dance world, and then that's what we're doing. Like we're laboring and working as dancers. But when we retire, which is sometimes very young, then we're like, what do we do next? You know. So I think that that's something that I'm really trying to support as well, is to support the idea of like what can happen after we decide to not be dancers anymore. What can we? But also with my grad students who are visual artists, they're like, you know, we need to learn how to write grants. We need to learn how to write statements and things like that. So that kind of professional practice part is also something that I can really kind of support in my classroom and with my students and everything.
What is common after dance?
Oh my God, lots of things. I think, you know, I know people that have gone and become teachers, physical therapists. I have two friends that became pilots.
Really?
Yeah, they became pilots. Yeah. I have
Interesting.
another friend who became a dominatrix,
That's cool.
because, you know, there's that discipline, the mastery of the form.
I mean, one of your projects,
Yeah.
pieces,
Master and form, I think we were talking about.
yeah, the one that kind of paired with ballet with BDSM.
Yes.
So how did you think of that? Why did that? Were you scared about putting that one out in the world? There's a whole bunch of questions.
I was a
with that.
little nervous about that one, but I think just for me, like I was like seeing the relationships between the mastery, the fetishization of the body, the submission, the domination of figures. Like, you know, we call our teachers ballet masters. You know, there's an authority in that space. And so I'm just from being in a ballet school in a ballet world, like I was like, there's definitely like relations of hierarchies and systems of power in ballet that is no different than a BDSM. But, you know, we can watch ballet because it's beautiful and romanticized, and we don't really think about that in other ways. But when we see like BDSM, there's a taboo to it or something. So yeah, so I started thinking about that and made that whole body of work. Yeah.
I mean, I love the idea of, like, to me, that's the kind of juxtaposition that is interesting and makes for something worth talking about. And
Absolutely.
that would put, like, that to me is something that would put an artist on the map and, you know, get them recognition.
Yeah, and I think that was a big project where I was like, nervous about it, but I was also like, this is what I want to kind of do. Yeah.
I love that. And because for me at this point, I don't care what people think about me, and not the idea. Like, I want everybody to like the ideas and what I come up with, but I don't care if they do or don't, because everybody's entitled to their own opinion about everything. And as long as I'm doing what I think is right for me at the time, and is helping me expand creatively and try something new, and is fun. Like, to me, everything goes back. Like, if you're having fun, you're winning.
And I think that also, like, you know, if you're having fun, you're winning. Also, like, when I make work, like, not everything is good. And that's okay to know. You know, I think for me, it was like, everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be good. There's some work that I like prefer more than the other. And, you know, like, and some are more successful, but other people will have a different opinion. But I just think that's also a really important thing, that not everything has to be good or successful. Again, depending how you want to define that or not.
I love that. It's kind of like, I mean, I have outfits all the time that I'm like, could have done better.
Oh, I've seen pictures and I'm like, oh, I think I looked amazing. Then I look a couple of years later and I was like, what was I thinking? Like, also, like, you know, when I was a teenager, I was blonde for most of high school.
No way.
And I was just like, now look at those pictures. And like, not a good, like, bleach job. Like, it was like, you know, I did it in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
Sun
like,
in.
it
I used
like,
to do sun in back in.
I used to buy
back
this
in
stuff called
summers.
Blondissima. And it was just like peroxide. And my hair looked like this crazy yellow. And I thought it was so cool. And now I look back and I'm like,
At the time,
that was
it probably
That was a choice.
It was a choice.
Yeah.
Definitely make a lot of choices now.
Yes.
But, you know, some of them are great. Like you said, some of them are good, some of them aren't. And to me, learning what isn't is almost more important than things you like. And I say that to clients all the time when I'll show them 10 outfits or 10 pieces. I'll say, tell me what you like. Tell me which ones you don't like, because that helps me learn so much
about
more.
and that's what I mean. Like your relationship with the person is getting to know them and what they're gonna like and what. So you're building like a rapport. Like you're almost like you're like a therapist.
Right.
Yeah. But for me, like sometimes I'm like, because I get to go to parties and events, and I'm like, I want to go over the top, and sometimes I'm like, it's like there was a lot of misses on the runway this year at the Met Gala. I was like, ooh, that was not a good choice. But like sometimes I'm like, yeah, give me that. Let me wear that. And then I'll wear it, and I'm like, you feel cool in it, but then after you see the picture, you're like, no, it's not the best choice.
Right. What's your opinion on the Met Gala? I get asked this as a stylist all the time.
I think it's changing from what it used to be. I got invited in 2020 and couldn't go because of the pandemic. So I think that was
Why haven't you got invited again?
I know, Anna. Where's my invitation, Anna?
Are you slacking?
I don't know if I'm slacking. I just maybe I'm slacking. Now I have fear. You just made me have fear again.
So now we're putting on the pressure.
Yeah.
And a campaign, Brendan, for Met Gala 2025. It's happening.
Happening. It's a manifestation.
Yes.
No, I love it. For me, it's like, it's again, this kind of pomp and circumstance. Is it opulent? Is it maybe like too extravagant? Perhaps. I just like watching and seeing what people are going to come up with. For me, it's really, it's fun. Actually, this year I went with my friend to a baseball game, and it was my first baseball game ever. And we're both in the stands, like watching the Met Gala instead of watching the game. And I was like, ooh, that's good. And then we're like, oh my God, there's this whole, everyone's like, like cheering for the Cubs, and we're just like watching, and then we like laughed because we were like.
And then you start cheering for an outfit you see, and like the Cubs just
we just left.
out.
We just left because we were like, yeah, but we're not really enjoying this.
I get that. It happens. Sports is an interesting thing for me. I grew up playing every sport. I loved sports growing up. And I think I've gone through this weird thing with sports the last few years where, I have 2 daughters, and not to say, like, I'm big on they should be in sports class. They should be doing all the things because they can. But even by age 3 in Aspen's sports class, she was the only girl in sports class at age 3.
What is sports class?
Oh, for 3-year-olds, it's a multi-sports class where they basically show them how to throw a ball, how to run the bases, running from one wall, play red light, green light. They're really, that's part of it. But she's the only girl at age 3. And so not like, I don't want to play into the stereotype that, I, as a dad of 2 girls, don't have to watch sports anymore, but it's just become so much. I don't do fantasy football like I used to. To me, that was the only thing that kept me sticking to watching the NFL. But it was time. It was time away from work. It was on the weekends, instead of working on Sunday, I was watching football, and I just cared less and less. I thought for me, it was, I think a lot of the macho I no longer cared for. It probably coincided with when I started painting my nails, something like that. But sports is a really interesting one, and I think there's a unique place for it. Fashion's not great in sports. It is for some of the players.
Some of the players maybe after
Sometimes.
yeah. For me, the only sport I play was ballet. And I love to acknowledge that ballet is a sport, and we're athletes in the way that we condition and perform. But that was the one thing I got into. Other than that, this year I started. My friend Chloe takes me to hockey games, and I love watching hockey because it's like watching like a dance.
And like stereotypically, you're Canadian, so you have to. Right?
Well, I think it was a big thing on social media when I posted my first hockey game, and people were like, "But you're Canadian," and I'm like. I know, but also, hockey is not our national sport.
What is the national sport?
Can you guess what the official national sport of Canada is?
Curling?
Pretty good guess, but no.
Backgammon.
No, yeah, one
Getting
more.
further. Oh, gosh.
I think you're close.
So curling is close.
I know what you're going to say bobsledding.
I was gonna say luge, and I was like, that's
I saw you go into your head. I was like, he's going to say bobsledding or
I was thinking
luge.
luge. That was exactly it. But I was like, that's not close to curling at all.
No.
I feel like there's something close to curling. I just don't remember the name of
I
it.
think I'm going. No, I think I threw you off. It's lacrosse.
Really?
Lacrosse is our national sport, but it should be hockey. Like, because every
Really?
Canadian plays hockey.
Does the U.S. have a national sport? I feel like you can't because you have all these national leagues.
Not sure.
No idea.
But-
Sports. I mean, my friends make fun of me now because I don't watch sports. And I feel like secluded from conversations. They're like, oh, about this player and this player. The only players or teams I care about are the ones that I dress and help.
That makes
So
sense.
I'm like, it's kind of like a fair weather fan, but it's more just like, I'm a work fan and I'll root for you guys because I want you all to be successful.
Because that makes success for you.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, ideally, yeah. That should be how it
That
is.
must be kind of fun to dress like the players because like their bodies are like, are so
Unique.
unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of fun and it's cool being in that world and seeing how it works. Like to me, one of the most enjoyable parts of this job is getting to see all the different worlds that I'm in, and especially lately doing more TV. I love it. Is magic how talk shows work. News. It's brilliant how perfect they have to be and how choreographed it needs to be and how on all the hosts have to. It's remarkable to me. Seeing that's awesome. Seeing how both the players in an organization, but also the back end and how those work together. I love seeing that. I think that's been one of the most fun aspects of what I've been doing the last decade. And definitely there are perks. I happened to get a call from the concierge at the Ritz a couple years back, and they were like, hey, need you to stop what you're doing, help someone shop right now for the Coldplay concert coming up. And I was like, one of my favorite movies. It's silly, but I don't know if that's one of my favorite. I think it was one of the most impactful movies. It was Jim Carrey's Yes Man, where he had to say yes to everything. It actually changed how I went about work, and it made me start saying yes to so much more. And it's one of the things when young entrepreneurs ask me for a few things of advice, I say yes to everything.
Absolutely. And that's what I mean. Like when I used to talk about the hustle, say yes to everything.
Everything.
Because now I pick and choose what I need to do because I went from doing all of the things and building that opportunity, building that portfolio, building that like resume, all of those things,
I think it's so important to say yes. So like, Yes Man, it's a so-so movie, but the message is critical. And I think saying yes and being able to, like, that's what gets you into these organizations.
Absolutely.
And so when I got that call, it was a Friday afternoon. It was, I think, Friday at 2 or 3 p.m. And they're like, we need you to drop what you're doing right now. I was in pajamas at my kitchen table in the condo when we were still in the city.
Okay.
On a Friday afternoon, like, you got to come now. Like, can I really turn it on all, like, just... I'm
You
like,
did.
We're going to do it. And sure enough, they're good friends with Chris Martin, and they gave us tickets and we got to go to the after party and, anywhere on the field. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
And so I think there are those opportunities, and same thing with players, getting to sit in the, whether it's an owner's box or with the families, in the arena. Those are awesome opportunities that happen because I said yes, because you're
You
going
support,
for it.
but they also support what you're doing for them, right?
Right.
So it's like an exchange.
Yeah, I'm definitely biased and think that my value, I know, but I also believe that my value is far more than what they even see right now or see what's in front of them. A lot of people think, oh, it's just clothes, but I think a lot of my clients would say that it changes how they go about everything in their life and how it affects their success, what they do. And So I'm hoping, especially as like this, gets going, 'cause it's when I'm reaching out, you being, the first guest, I was like, I need somebody that I can talk with, that I love, and I
Be
won't
ca-
feel nervous.
Let's be candid. This is a conversation. Yeah, exactly.
I won't feel nervous. I won't feel anything negative. It can just be me, and I think I needed that for my first. But thinking about and reaching out to more and more guests, because if you're going to do a podcast, you have to be consistent.
Absolutely.
And it's scary to start, because when you reach out to people, I want to have inspiring guests. I want guests that are successful. When you're reaching out, you're like, hey, it's me. I do this, and I know I have that value. I know what I can do for them, for their clients. I know what I can do. A lot of people don't think, like there's going to be some reward in it for me. I will do every single thing I possibly can to support those that support me now. And that's something I've always believed in. Everyone that helps me now, I will take to the top. When House of Style, when anything I'm working on takes off, they will all be right there with me.
Love it.
And so I think that's one of the things I'm like, I'm going to do this. I can do this for you. Half of them are like, no, I reached out to Justin Timberlake's going to be in town this week. It's like, why not?
Is he
Why not
playing
go for
in
it?
town?
He's going to be at the United Center on Saturday.
Huh.
It's like, why not? They're going to say no, but I also don't believe in having shame about asking people.
Absolutely.
Why not just ask? Because if they say no, you're in the same exact place.
Exactly.
They said, his assistant said no, but next time. And it was because of a scheduling thing. I actually think they would have said yes if, I think because of the news that's going on right now with him, if I think it's completely unfair, the coverage he's getting, but he was arrested for driving while drinking in the Hamptons. And I don't think it's super fair, the coverage he's getting, because media never covers it, really, except when it's a celebrity. But I think he's not going to be in town when I think he's getting in Saturday instead of when he was originally. I'm hoping, I'd like to think, and I'm going to think, that he would have done it had this not happened. So
And
next time,
we met, for the next time.
exactly, next year, Justin Timberlake's going to be on the show, manifesting.
I'll hang out too.
You can absolutely hang out. You could be one of his dancers.
Oh God.
Or me.
Yeah.
Even
both
better
of us.
sight.
The two of us will be his dancers.
I couldn't imagine. That's something I would never do. Never, ever do. There are a lot of things that I don't.
We should do like a dance class the next time where we put you and we make you do some dance moves.
That's about it. So Naya has seen some of my at home at my desk dance moves. So she's seen more dancing
And
her
you're mortified.
Yeah, her reaction is usually like, okay, stop. All right, that's good.
It's normally enough.
Yeah. But I do like dancing. It's like if I was probably intoxicated in some sort of club or loud music setting,
Yes.
I let loose and feel it. I would also love to be a fantastic ballroom dancer. I think
I want to learn.
think
Should
one
we
of
take classes?
we could. I think one of the
I'd
reasons,
have to lead though.
Oh, see that I don't know about that.
You're really tall.
Because of my need to it's not a need to control, it's a need, I generally believe that I do things in a particular way, and I'm very, if I were to start ballroom dancing in 6 months, if I were doing it, I'd be a damn good ballroom dancer because I throw myself into it. But it's such a commitment, and I think that's, and to me, it's.
I like watching because it's also a form I don't know, but there's a certain kind of again, a history or tradition. There's there's things that people the kind of the way they move, and you're kind of okay. I'm like, how does that body move? Because in a ballet, it's very held in it's a different kind of control. But yeah, so I'm just curious about it. Yeah,
I would love to, but part of it is also, if I know that I'm not going to be great at it and I don't have enough time to invest in it, I'm like, can't pick up that hobby. Birding is something you can get into because you're just looking.
So identify these birds on these cups for me.
We have a toucan and We went with the cockatoo for that one.
So are you like watching or are you like, because it's an app. My friend has this app where you like take a picture and then it'll be like, that's this bird.
Oh, Merlin.
Has the app.
Merlin, it is my favorite. There is no app on my phone that I think has more value than Merlin.
And it's just birds, right?
Just birds.
Yeah.
You can record them, which is hard right now because of all the cicadas. It's really messing with my birding. But you can also submit pictures. And when I'm traveling, it's like my favorite thing to do. I'll be like, shh, stop talking. I'm recording. And you just hear all the birds. Sunday mornings, walking, Paddington, our mini poodle. Sunday mornings are beautiful because it's silent in our neighborhood in the burbs.
Oh.
And so you can hit the record button, leave it on for 15 minutes and see all the new birds that come by. And right now it's migration season and breeding season. So the birds that are coming by,
You're taking this. I'm like,
I love it.
it's mating season. Isn't that supposed to be in the springtime when birds have their little babies?
We have some of those too in our backyard. We have a lot. I have quite the setup in our backyard, and that's really
Okay.
how it started. We have like 6 or 7 feeders now. And I didn't know at first there are different types of feeders.
Do you have cardinals?
Tons of cardinals.
I can know the sound of a cardinal. I don't know why.
Cardinals are beautiful. We have lots of cardinals, lots of blue jays.
I was just gonna say I've never seen a blue jay in Chicago,
Come out.
but they make the most annoying sound.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, blue jays are annoying.
Yeah, I do it. I don't.
Do it. Do the sound of a blue jay.
Oh,
Do it.
it's kind of like a.
Come on.
No, it's not. It's like
Caw,
no, they're not a
No,
caw. It's
I'm
more
not-
like
I'm just-
a
I don't know
random
what
screech. Here,
I
so
just
here,
know,
ready?
I just know it's like a terrible
Here,
sound,
wait. So
but I
I'm gonna
wanted
I'm
you
gonna-
to do
I'm
it.
gonna go to
That's
the
what I
Merlin.
wanted.
I'm gonna go to the Merlin app, and
No,
now
this is cheating. I just want you to just keep.
well, now we
Okay,
have to
well then
hear it.
listen to the Merlin app, and then you have to do it.
Right, that's fine. That's fine. We can agree to that. So, this was from West Virginia, in May 2020.
Higher.
Higher.
Yeah. I love it.
Here's a different call.
Make a diff-
That's what I was trying to do. Like
That's a
high
blue jay?
screech. Yeah,
find a cardinal and do the cardinal,
the cardinal. That's
and then do a pigeon.
okay. So Mike is an unbelievable whistler, and he can whistle all this stuff probably much better. It's cardinal.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard.
Like, if anyone heard that one in
Wait,
between,
no, you have to do it now.
That was Mike.
You have
not
to either whistle it or do it with your voice. One more. Okay, not bad.
It's
I wanted to
decent. It's
embarrass
decent.
you, but okay. You know I can't whistle.
I was so Mike actually gets me thinking about this because he's the best whistler I know.
Yeah, that was really good, Mike.
He's amazing, but I whistle through my teeth, and I don't.
Yeah,
think
I saw
that's,
you,
I don't
and
think
I
that's
saw
how
it was
most
coming out of the
people
side of your mouth. You're like,
and I don't think that's how most people.
sarsaparilla.
Yeah, like that's not how people whistle. And then I tried whistling, like what I think is normal whistling, and I can't. But I think I used to be able to. And then I don't know when this teeth thing started.
Do it again.
but-
Suey.
That's good.
Sarsaparilla and suey.
Yeah. It's perfect.
I think the champagne's getting to me.
Oh, perfect. I was just telling Naya about. Have you ever seen the show Drunk History?
Yes.
I
So
thought it was
good.
one of the best shows. Is it still on?
I don't know if it's still on, but it's pretty hilarious.
The fact that someone was like, let's just talk about history, but just get someone completely shit.
All these comedians who just be like
So
shit faced, and
funny.
it's so funny. Yeah, it's really good. You should watch it.
Yeah. Do you have any? I wanted to make sure that people are getting as much out of this as possible. What are a couple things that you think are critical for success? And if you can frame it in the terms of someone's style and like the style, the which they go about something, bonus points. But just what do you believe are some big keys to success?
Well, I think success is defined by you. There's not one way to be successful, but I think you need to identify what that means for you. And so that could be, for me, it was always to be internationally known like artist, like but if it's about showing your work in community engagement or social engagement, that's also successful. So I think it's just about really about like how you want to include yourself into what success means for yourself. So that's the main thing, and I think that builds a sense of like that there's not a oneness to it, that there's many ways to do it, but also that it gives you this idea that you're empowering yourself. So when you think about style, there's a sense of an empowerment. So I'm like, how do you empower yourself to feel the best that you are in the means that you want to be defined in?
I love that. That makes for me, that makes a lot of sense. I think one thing I lose sight of is your first point about defining your own success. I think for so long I measured success comparing myself to others, and I think as an entrepreneur, it's when you start a business, it's so easy to do everything from looking at other people in that space to be like, oh, I know my stuff's just as good as them, but I'm not at why am I not getting XYZ? Or I think one of the most common entrepreneurial problems is if I had $10,000, I'd be able to do this right away. And I think you just start comparing yourself, and what you realize is that success doesn't mean the same thing. I remember when I was sharing about House of Style the first time with two of my brothers, they were both kind of like, why do you need to make $1 billion? I was like, what do you mean? Like, if I want a private jet, like that's what I'm going for. Like, how could you not want that type of money? And they're like, I'd be fine with just this. Like, I want to send my kids to whatever school they want to, or whatever program they want to do. I want to be able to live comfortably. And for a while, that almost bothered me. Like, how could they not want to be more successful? And it took me a minute to say, like, that's not successful.
No, exactly.
Like, not at all. All of my brothers are successful in their own way. And
absolutely. And again, it's success to their wants and their desires, and so they feel good. And they're like, and again, like like what I do is so different than what my siblings do, but they're totally successful and happy, and they do what they need to do, and we can support each other. But like sometimes it's also like understanding what we do. Like like I don't know fully what they do, they don't know what I do, but we're maneuvering it, but we're finding our own definitions. I think that's really important.
I love that, especially like for family. To me, at this point, the most important thing is that they just kind of understand what I'm working on and why I'm working on it, and not think about it from like is it working or is it successful at this point standpoint? Because like when you're starting something as big as House of Style, it's going to take an enormous village to make this happen.
And so you build it and you're kind of creating it.
And there's so many pieces to it that I want the people to just understand why I'm doing this. It's just out of a love for,
I love that,
for all of what I'm doing and what I'm trying to do for others.
Yeah.
And I think this was fantastic.
I love this. I love our whole
and
thing.
I think, yep, that's everything in there. I was like, do I have anything else?
More tricks.
Thank you so much for being a part of this. And, I know we're friends and we can talk about anything, but still, coming on something that is new is always a risk.
It's super exciting. And I look forward to seeing it manifest, grow, and us just taking it on.
It's going to be fun.
And being included in it more. So yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Thanks.
And where can they watch more?
They can watch more on any platform that you stream on, and YouTube.
I was looking for one specific.
And what?
I was looking for one in specific, but it's fine, we can cut and do another one. Where are you releasing behind the scenes content?
Patreon. And we'll be releasing some extra exclusive bonus footage on Patreon. So head over there and you can catch some of that now.